Hello, everyone. It is Adrian. My special guest is a return guest for today. It is Selina McCloskey, who is Miss International Australia. Selina, welcome back to the show. How are you going?
Thank you so much, Adrian, for having me. I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm struggling a little bit to keep up with everything that you're doing, combined with
Oh,
everything that everyone else is doing. The pageant world's having a pretty, I don't know how much you've been watching what everyone else is doing. It's a pretty crowded finish to the end of the year for the pageant industry. You
yes,
obviously got international, you've got Earth, you've got grand, you've got
universe,
it's all happening.
cosmos
Even world is
happening.
happening. Everything's happening.
Mm.
So why don't you catch everyone up on what life has been like for you? What have you been doing since we last chatted?
A lot, probably. I've finished my degree, so now I have a double degree in business, innovation, and entrepreneurship, majoring in human resources and leadership and management. So I understand it's quite a long,
That's
winded
quite a
degree.
mouthful.
Yes, so 4 years of study done, and I was one of two to finish with a double distinction in my degree. So I'm
Nice.
pretty proud of that. What
Nice.
else have I been doing? Just focusing on the pageant, really. I've decided to not get a job in my field of study at the moment because the pageant just takes up so much time and effort. And if you it's a one in a lifetime experience, so you should put all your eggs in one basket at the moment. So that's what I'm focusing on.
And how have you been preparing for it? Because I know for a lot of girls, it's walking practice, etc., all that stuff, which is important for pageants. I'm not going to dismiss it, but I get the feeling just from following you on social that you've been very busy doing, let's call it work, right? Appearances. By the way, I saw one of, I'm sure you had just recently appeared in Chatswood. You did some sort of appearance in Chatswood, yeah? And I was upset with you because I was saying, you should have told me you were there because that's like 10 minutes away from me. You're basically in my backyard. I was like, you should have told me. I could have turned up. We could have got a photo
You're
together.
cute. We can
No,
actually meet in person.
yeah. I'd never get to meet anyone in person. And like, you're the closest one to me and you're 5 minutes away. You didn't tell me. I was like, huh, she was in Chatswood. No, come on. Um, but tell me, am I right? Because it feels like you're doing a lot of the real work as opposed to just the glam side.
Yeah, so that's actually part of my mission is to change the stigma around pageantry and prove that it's more than just the glam and the beauty. In fact, that's why I love Miss International because it's about what you can give. So the theme this year is sustainability and pageantry. So you align yourself with one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So I chose number 5 on gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls, which is something I've been passionate about for such a long time, which actually went back to my basketball days. So you might remember I played college basketball in Texas and Kansas. So I really noticed the inequalities in gender. So men would get more court time, more media, more money. It's just, and we're doing the exact same thing as women. So that kind of sparked my push to help. And then following on, just finishing a business degree that's so heavily male dominated.
Mm.
So I'm helping to get women into business. So I'm volunteering at my local charity called Dress for Success. It's actually internationally recognized and it's amazing. So we help bring women, or women who are already in the workforce, and we give them life skills. We help style them with sustainable clothing, so clothing that's donated by the community. And you can really notice the transformational impact it can have on the women. And it's honestly been life changing, not only for them, but for me too. So it's people like this and things like this that keep me going, I guess, and keep me coming back for more pageantry and really finding my purpose and my meaning. Yeah.
Let's dig into that goal. So equality, gender equality. How many? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but just roughly, if you know, how many sustainable goals were there for the UN?
There's 17, I believe.
Yeah, that number
Yeah.
sounds correct. Just, can you give us an idea of what some of the other goals were, just out of interest?
Yeah, so there's like clean water solutions, something about
So
biodiversity. It's
environment,
very
that
broad,
makes
like
sense.
climate change,
Yeah.
joining of countries together, There's honestly it's so broad, but they all have specific purposes as well.
Yeah.
So there's yeah, a variety to choose from, but number 5 really stood out to me.
How long did you have to think before you chose number 5? I get the feeling it probably didn't take you very long.
No brainer, no brainer. So yeah, it was the one that resonated with me the most. Yeah.
Can you tell me more about, so you picked number 5, so gender equality. How have you
Mm.
gone about actually putting that into practice? Because that's something that I think will resonate with a lot of pageant girls, pageant women, and that they have that sort of advocacy. But then I think they really struggle to put it into practice. I mean, it's one thing to talk about it on social, but obviously you've been hitting the ground running, so to speak, and doing the hard yards. So how have you gone about actually translating this goal of number 5, that sustainable goal, into what you've actually been doing on a daily basis?
Yeah, so as I said, I've been volunteering fortnightly at Dress for Success, and with that, we also help students and people from other backgrounds, domestic violent backgrounds, and many things. So we really hit
Mhm.
a wide range of people. But aside from that, I think it's important to do things such as talk at schools and that kind of thing. I believe using our voice and start using communication, even something as small, I think everyone can do will make a difference, which is why my advocacy I have named Her Voice Our Future. Because there's actually a statistic given out by the United Nations that say it's going to take 140 years to reach equal gender representation in leadership positions. And this is coming from a background of business, innovation, and entrepreneurship. It's something I'm really passionate about is creating that equality in male-dominated
Mhm.
areas. So that's what I'm
So
kind trying to do.
so we might need to speed that up then, is what you're saying, unless you're planning on
Yeah.
still competing in pageants in 140 years' time from will you be Miss
Yeah.
International Australia 2000 2184? I mean, something's gone horrifically wrong if that's happening. It might be
Yeah.
your great granddaughter or something like that. I don't know. Um, so you mentioned Dress for Success, and that's
Mm,
aligned with business, as I
mm,
understand. So helping women get their start in, well, let's say their professional career. From your perspective, obviously,
mm,
you just mentioned that you finished both your degrees and they're both very much business oriented. What is it that
mhm,
you think that we need to do more of as a society? I mean, you mentioned using your voice. What do you think we need to do
mm.
more of to sort of help achieve that equality faster? Or what are we missing out on or doing wrong right now?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've heard of the concept called the dream gap. So it's actually I
Mm.
made a video on my Instagram, you should check it out. It's the difference between the dreams that girls are actually the opportunities girls are actually given and their potential to actually dream and achieve larger goals. So there's a massive gap. So from a young age, statistics show that women are more or girls are more likely to receive, kitchen utensils and hairbrushes and very stigmatized women things, whereas men are given science related toys and building blocks and things to really develop and change.
Mm.
But something I would like to change from a young age is give girls the opportunity to have these more science related toys and, really changing the stereotypes and stigmas and girls should be this and this. So I
Mhm.
believe starting from a young age, we all have a potential to make a difference.
What was it like for you? I mean, you mentioned the basketball, and we did talk about that in our previous
Mm,
interview, but I'm just interested, given what we're talking about now, how hard was it, or how much of a struggle was it for you getting into women's basketball? I mean, obviously, you went to a very high level because you're playing over in the
mm.
States, which is, you know, basketball crazy. But I feel like basketball has come a long way in the last, for women specifically, has come a long way since like 20, 30, even 40 years ago. I wouldn't say it's equal, but I mean, you have,
Mm.
for example, Lauren Jackson is one of probably the best, biggest household names
I've
in
met
Australia,
her.
I feel. Did she make you feel short? How tall is she?
Huge. She's such a presence. You can really feel it when you meet her. She's amazing. Yeah, I've been to the Lauren Jackson basketball courts in Albury as well, and she is from
Wow.
there too. So met her, so it's
Well,
pretty cool.
tell me about it. What's it like meeting someone like that? I mean, someone who's done so much to further the cause of that sport for Australia in particular and for women. What was it like meeting someone like that?
Inspirational. Like, it's really fantastic to see women using their voice and standing out and having such an impact as well, because usually you just hear in the basketball industry, it's men. You hear about all the,
Hmm.
well, used to be Kobe Bryant, the Michael Jordan, the
Yeah.
Steph Curry. And, women's sports is not watched as much. It doesn't have the reviews that men's sport does. So it's really great to see that women are standing out and using their voice and being seen.
Yeah. The soccer has come a long way as well for us
Yeah.
Aussies. But I mean, talking about sport, I mean, you mentioned that your partner recently represented Australia at the Olympics. So I got to ask, what was that like? Because it's not every day I interview someone who's either at the Olympics or whose partner is at the Olympics.
It was epic. So, my partner, Bryn Liddell, so he just sailed in the NACA 17. So it's called the mixed multi-hull class of sailing. And another really cool thing about it is it's actually a mixed gender class. So you have to have a boy
Oh,
and a girl on the boat. So this is also great why the Olympics had 50% representation of women this year, which is a huge clap to the Olympics and all the sports and the teams recognizing women and allowing us to compete and be our own individuals. Yeah, but Marseille was fabulous. I'd never been to Europe before, so I mean, what amazing opportunity to go watch him pursue his dreams and represent Australia. And it's pretty cool. Like, I'm following my dreams of representing Australia this year as well. So it's pretty cool.
it's a good year for the both of you then, by the sounds of it.
It's unbelievable. Like, this has been, we've spoke about this for years. We've been together for 6 years, and it's always been our dream. And to both do it in the same year has been unbelievable.
Can you give us an idea how much of a sacrifice it is, how much you need to sacrifice to get to the Olympics? I mean, Olympics is the top of the top of the top. It only comes around once every 4 years. And so if you're competing in an event, for example, the 100-meter dash always comes to mind because it's over in like under 10 seconds. And these athletes are competing, training their entire life for 10 seconds. That comes around once every 4 years. But how much did Bryn, was it that you said his name? Bryn,
Yeah,
how much did he
Bryn.
have to sacrifice? How much hard work? From my memory, the thing I remember about aquatic sports at school was that they had to be up like 4 or 5 every morning. But how much did he have to sacrifice to get to that level?
Yeah, so Bryn is actually overseas for about 6 months of every year training in Europe because that's where the
Wow,
conditions are. So I don't see him for half the year. So he's
that's tough.
sacrificing our relationship to some extent for starters, to follow his dreams, but also he does about two forms of exercise every day. So whether that be gym and cycling, running, swimming, he does a lot. So he's very fit. Especially, he has to pull a lot of ropes and that as well. So it's a very precise, strong arms. It's fantastic. But yeah, he watches his nutrition. He has a whole team behind him, a nutritionalist, a psychologist. So they really make sure not only is he physically ready, he's
Mm.
mentally prepared as well. So he's in sync with his partner. Yeah, Rhiannon.
How much does he understand pageants at this stage? I mean, you mentioned the prep that he goes through. Pageant girls obviously have their own version of prep, not normally pulling ropes, but you guys have your own version of prep. So how has he come along in his understanding of what pageants involve?
He's fantastic. If you look at
Oh
my
yeah.
Instagram, I would say maybe a quarter of the photos is taken by him. So I've really taught
All
him the
right.
angles and everything of how to take a good photo. But he's been so supportive. I think he understands the dedication that it takes to be good at something. So he sees me on the
Yeah.
late night calls with my team and the early morning starts to do hair and makeup for a photo shoot. And he's just so supportive. And I'm very grateful for that as well.
How difficult was it to teach him the photography part? I made a joke TikTok about, you're dating a pageant girl and congratulations, doesn't matter who you are as a guy, you've now become a photographer and you don't get a choice, by the way. And the other thing was you've got to take 500 photos. They all look the same and you don't like any of them. But how And you also have side that you prefer. It's like, oh no, I got to take this side, and I'm like, what? I've learned all this stuff now after all my
Oh,
exposure. But how good of a student was Bryn when it came to becoming a pageant photographer?
oh, the first couple photos he took, he cut off my feet, and I was like, "Bryn, come on, this I'm not gonna fire you yet. I'm just going to try
Yes.
again." So now he knows, I like it at certain angles and let me move, have it on live so I can move and try different
Yep.
angles. But yes, he's been a great learner. I've just, yeah, perfected it how I like my photo taken now, and so he's fabulous.
It's funny sometimes. I mean, you can always spot the guys, the partners at a pageant, because they're always the ones that are gathering around who look clueless. It's like a bunch of
Yeah.
gazelles being hunted by a bunch of cheetahs or something. It's quite funny. So all the prep that's been going on, when are you actually heading out?
Oh, sorry, it just cut out. 1
Oh,
second.
I was just asking when. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, it cut out for a second. Now we're back.
That's okay. I was just asking when are you actually heading out to Japan?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to the Philippines first. So my team is mainly Filipino. And so I've been meeting online with my trainer RL, and so now I actually get the in-person practice as well. So I'll
Okay.
be going to the Philippines on the 17th of October, and then I'll go over to Japan on the 26th of October, where the pageant starts on the 29th. So I have a day or two to get back and ready.
How long is the actual pageant going to be?
So it starts the 29th of October, and the final date is November 12th.
Right. So you're going to be away out of the country for about a month at least.
Correct, the 17th to the 17th. That's what I've planned.
Exactly. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, How
So it's a
much?
long time.
How it is quite a long time to be out of the country. Although Bryn might have something to say about that, given that he's away 6 months of the year. Um,
Yes.
how are the nerves at this stage? You look like you're pretty under control. Everything is settled. Am I right, or is it still a little
I
bit?
Of course, I'm always gonna be nervous to some extent, but I think that shows how much I care. But, I feel like all my preparation should make me alright to be there. Like, I feel like I've done everything that I need to do. There's still a little bit I'm working on, but I feel being prepared and knowing what you're doing will help eliminate some nerves to some extent.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
that's all you can do, right? Is prepare as best you
exactly.
can, and then whatever happens, happens. I'm curious to know how's your Japanese coming along? How are we going? I saw your interview, obviously, with Christina, and she was trying
Yeah.
to teach you Dutch. I gotta say, the Dutch. I love talking to Christina, and I love the Dutch people, but the language, it just sounds like you're spitting half the time. She was, I don't remember what she was getting you to say. She was saying that her favorite thing was hachelsloch or something, which is chocolate sprinkles on bread. And it's literally
Sounds
that
delicious.
sound. It's just a terrible sound. But what was she getting you to say? I can't remember.
Oh, see you in Japan, and I forget how to say it now. I have to ask Christina how to say that one again. Um, oh, now I
I'm
forget.
not going to
I
ask
used
you
to
to
remember.
remember it.
Oh,
Yeah, I
thank
don't
you.
I don't remember. You could say anything you want. What did you try teaching her? Oh, you
Good
went to
day,
good day,
mate.
mate.
It's
Can I just
not
say I
everyone
have never
says it.
once in my life actually said no, but that's just me. Do you actually say good day, mate? I don't. I've never.
As
I say hello.
a as a joke with some of my friends, we do because we've got to be true blue Aussies, you know?
Hey, dinkum.
But, yeah, that's it. I don't even notice it's funny because I don't even notice my accent or anymore or the slurring of words or anything. But when you hear, like, Christina and she sounds so beautiful and elegant when she
Mm.
speaks, I'm like, "Wow, maybe I do sound very Australian."
I haven't taught her the word bogan yet. And I think you mentioned it once in the interview, but I don't think she quite picked up on it. I'm actually having another chat to Christina in a week's time. But let's say some of your fellow international queens, contestants from other countries, obviously, are tuning in. Would you like to take a stab? Actually asked Sheridan Mortlock to do this, Miss Earth Australia. Can you define the word bogan?
Oh. picture a person who wears a singlet, has a stubby a stubby holder and a beer in
What's a
their
stubby,
hand.
Selena?
Like a
You're
beer
using all
going
these
in, like a
Australian slang terms to define other Australian slang terms. We're going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. These people have no idea what you're talking about, remember.
oh gosh, keep forgetting they're true Australian words and people don't understand them. Um, like a beer in your hand and a little cup
Okay.
holder thing. And they just got like little shorts on and they're just I don't know, they don't really care about their looks as much. It's just about having a good time and I don't know, laid back. We're very laid back.
That's probably the
I don't know.
easiest way of laid back, definitely. And the singlet, it's normally like a really beaten down singlet with a few holes in it as well. It's not a designer singlet. Have you? I
No.
mean, I'm sure you've heard yourself speaking now at this stage. You've done a couple of interviews. Have you noticed your accent at all? Because after talking to all these people, I pick up immediately on a strong Australian accent. And I think, to be fair to you, you have a strong Australian accent, but you don't swallow your syllables, which is a problem for a lot of the Aussie girls. So your enunciation, what I'm saying, is actually very good. You don't just stop
Thank you.
before you finish the final syllable, which sometimes happens with Aussie girls. But have you noticed how strong your accent is now that you've spoken to a few of the other girls?
Only when I speak to someone that actually sounds really posh to me. So I can hear I pronounce a couple of the words a bit shorter, but overall, I think I'm just so used to being surrounded by, people that speak really with lots of slang that it's
Aussies.
normal. It's
Okay.
normal now.
So, okay, we're sending you overseas, right, to represent our great country. And I'm sure that will always be the case with the Aussie girl. They'll love to know more about Australia, but all they know is kangaroos, koalas, g'day, mate, and there's a shark in the water. So, if one of these girls comes up to you and says, tell me more about Australia, where are you going to start? I have this issue because I've often been asked this, and it's so hard to define any country in like one sentence. But where would you start? If someone says, "Oh, tell me more about your homeland," what are you going to say?
There's 2 avenues I'd go down. One, I'll talk about the landscape. So we have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Not to be biased, I've done a bit of traveling. I think there's no place like the
I
Australian
agree,
beaches.
100%.
But we also have a diverse landscape. So we also have the desert and everything. So rainforests. We go from the 2 extremes, the beautiful beach to like the extreme dry in the middle. But apart from that, the thing I would most likely talk about is our diverse multicultural landscape. So I think
Mm.
something beautiful is I've got a friend from a lot of countries now. So we have diverse music, religions, we accept different food, dancing. Like we really embrace multiculturalism here, which is really cool. And I guess that'll help at the pageant as well. So I kind of get an idea about what to expect from all the girls, which is cool.
Do you have an idea
Yeah,
how many girls are turning up?
I believe it's 70.
That's quite a lot. That's
Yeah,
that's
that is
quite a
quite a
lot.
lot.
I mean,
Yes,
obviously, you've spoken to Christina. Just at a guess, roughly, how many of the other girls have you messaged and sort of been talking to?
maybe around 7 I've become close with. Yeah, and there's actually a girl I just met, Miss Nepal. She actually lives in Sydney, which is really
Oh,
cool. Yes, so I thought that was pretty cool. I only figured that out, 2 days ago, actually, when I posted that I was in Sydney on my story.
wow.
So
Right.
then she responded that she's actually from there as well.
Do you have any idea whereabouts in Sydney? I'm only asking if
Oh,
you guys watching don't know, it's because Sydney is quite a big
oh,
place. You're looking
it
her
is.
up
No,
let me find her address details.
Rockdale.
Rockdale. Okay, that's not close to me, but that's more West Sydney, but that would still be close. It sounds like you've got it. How much time? I'm just curious. Are you spending in coming into Sydney? Because obviously, when you were in Chatswood, you were in Sydney. How much time are you
Yes.
spending in the Big Smoke?
I'm probably there at least every fortnight now. Because one of my other trainers, Jay from Miss You Opinions, he helps with my walking training, so I come to visit him. As you know, I have a passion for fashion, and Sydney has way better shopping than Newcastle. So, come to Big Smoke for the shopping, and then also the Japanese events. Like I went to the Cherry Blossoms in Sydney. That event
Mm.
was a Japanese festival. Amazing
Ah, right, right,
food.
right. Yeah.
Yes, so kind of have to go there because Newcastle, as beautiful as Newcastle is, it's just a lot more laid back and doesn't have all the resources that Sydney has.
It's funny how often when you describe Australia, the words laid back comes from, because I interviewed Miss Earth New Zealand and I was also saying you guys are probably laid back as well. So it's like us Kiwis and us Aussies and the Kiwis, we're always laid back. I'm just to go back to the accent once more because you brought it up. Have you tried? I don't know if you want to do this, but when I was talking to Christina, I mentioned the way to pick an Australian accent. I always say glass of water because us Aussies will say water, as in like water. But when I
Mm.
interview, because I tried to train the Aussie with the boginess out of my accent, I went to pains to really say glass of water. So I'm just, and fear, not fear. I'm just curious, have you ever tried pronouncing it? Because I'll tell you, Selina, I go to
No,
America, everyone thinks I'm British. No one actually thinks I'm Australian.
how funny. No, I'm glass of water, fears.
There you go.
It's classic Australian, and that's one thing I don't wanna lose in my pageantry is the classic, uh, Australian land down under, my bogan accent.
You can give that as your gift to everyone. What are you most looking
Mwah.
forward to when you head over there? I mean, Japan. I love Japan. Never been, but as I told you before,
Mm,
it's probably top on my list of countries I haven't visited that I want to visit. What are you most looking forward to over there? I mean, obviously you got the pageant, but is it the
mm.
people, the culture, the food, a mishmash of all of the above?
I guess Japan's always been on my bucket list, so just to see
Yeah.
the beautiful scenery to start with would be fantastic. But I think also making a friend from every country is pretty cool as well, so when I go traveling, I can meet up with some friends, which is awesome. But I guess I love their little traditions, like I did a ikebana the other day. Do you know what that is? The,
No, I've heard the
flower.
word. Right.
Yeah, it's like a flower arrangement, and I just love the mindfulness that goes into
Mm.
everything that they do. So I'm looking forward to learning more about their traditions and the mindfulness that they put into everything.
How's your Japanese going?
Yeah, so I have a Japanese teacher. Shout out to Eri. She's amazing. She's taught me a whole range of things from how to put a kimono on, how to order food, very important. And she's great. We're also going to do some a tea ceremony and that
Okay.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. So she's fantastic. She teaches at a local school here as well, but she's from Japan, so yeah, it's great.
How are you with Japanese food? I only ask because some Aussies are very not okay with things like, well, things that aren't sort of typical white Australian, but how are you with the sushis and all of that other stuff?
I'm actually allergic to seafood, so it makes it a
That's
little
not
bit
great.
difficult. Yeah, it makes it a little bit difficult. So I like chicken sushi or any land meat or that kind of thing. So it's hard to be a little bit adventurous with that in mind. So
Fair
no
enough.
seafood, but anything else is okay.
That's unfortunate, but yeah, that's completely understandable. When you head over there, have you given any thought to how you want to do or how you want to place? I mean, obviously you've got the competitive
Mm,
background when it comes to basketball, and you're heading
mm,
over. It's one of the biggest pageants in the world. It's one of the only the four Grand Slams. So it's Universe, World,
yes.
Earth, and International. So obviously that's a big burden to be shouldering. Have you given any thought to how well you want to do or certain things you really want to achieve whilst you're over in Japan?
Yeah, so the whole pageant thing's been a whole journey in itself, and I think that I'm already a winner in myself because I feel like I've had a lot of self-development. I've found more of my
Mhm.
purpose, and I mean, true success to me is being happy, and I mean, getting near the top would be phenomenal. In such a pageant, it would be a dream come true and take my dreams to the next level on a higher platform and give me a greater voice to talk on things I'm passionate about. Um, Follow in some of the great Australians' footsteps. If you know Amber Sydney, she did amazing. I think it was
Yeah.
2018, 2019. But apart from that, Australia hasn't won since 1992. So it would be an honour to bring it back for Australia.
Were you even born in 1992?
I'm a 2001, so
Okay.
no.
Oh my god, definitely not then. I was just gonna, yeah,
Yes.
1992. Yeah, I know Amber very well. I call her Chocky because she actually has a very unhealthy chocolate addiction. But yes, when I first spoke to her, that was, I think she was just finishing up her own. I think it might have been even 2017, but it was a while ago. And then
Yeah.
I think internationally took a bit of a hiatus during COVID because Japan
Yes.
got pretty badly hit by COVID. I mean, there was a Tokyo Olympics even had
Mm,
to be put back a year. Um, but I mean, it would be amazing, obviously, if you could do well over
mm.
there. Are you feeling any pressure? Are you feeling supported? How are you feeling at this stage? It's not long to go.
Yeah, I mean, I only put the pressure on myself because I want to succeed for my whole team and my family. Um, I guess my parents have always been my biggest supporters and love me unconditionally, and they've also put a lot of effort into me for this. So for it to all pay off would be amazing. I don't go into anything half-hearted. I go in with my full heart invested in it, the process. So I would like to do well, it'd be amazing, but I'm versing such beautiful, inspirational,
Mm,
powerful people and countries as well, so we're all very diverse, and I guess it'll just be up to what the judges want at the end of the day.
yeah, as it always is. As it always is.
Yeah,
Let's
that's it.
turn back the clock a little bit. I normally ask girls when I'm interviewing, this is the first question, but this is the second time I'm interviewing you, so I forgot to ask it. But wind the clock back for us. Tell us how you got into pageantry to begin with.
Mm. So, it kind of went through modeling, the modeling phase, I still do modeling, but, um, I thought there could be more to modeling than just being the exterior. When I found out about pageantry, obviously, I'm been
Mm,
a huge Miss Universe fan, as all girls are at a young age. To be able to use your voice, I thought is spectacular, and being passionate about women empowerment and encouraging other women to use their voice. I just thought, what better way to use it than pageantry? I love the glitz and the glam. That's obviously not second nature to me from a basketball background, going from basketball straight to pageantry, but I guess it's kind of a challenge, and I love a challenge, and to get to know what works and what doesn't. I've learnt how to put makeup on, how to do my
mm.
hair, that kind of thing. So it's kind of been a lot of self-development, but I'm loving the journey.
What was the hardest part for you sort of going along your pageant journey? Because as you said, one of the big differences between modeling and pageantry, modeling, you never say anything, right? You're basically a clothes horse. You're a walking clothes horse. And I don't mean any disrespect. That's really what you are. It's about the clothes, not you. Whereas
Yes.
pageantry, you got to use your voice, as you said, tying in with
Mm,
your advocacy. But a lot of people, not just women and not just young women, but a lot of people find it very hard to find their voice and certainly to speak up about certain issues. They're terrified of public speaking. Was that a challenge for
mm.
you at all? You already mentioned the makeup, but what about the actual speaking up and finding your own voice?
I have a passion to talk to people. I love to help people and use my voice for change. I was in the drama class at school. I was in the debating team. I was a prefect at school, student representative councillor. So I've always kind of been in a position where I can use my voice. But I guess I've always had this desire to help others. I
Hmm.
went to a deaf and blind preschool when I was young as an abled person. So that kind of um, taught me to appreciate what I have, not take life for granted, and to ultimately help others. So that's kind of been instilled in me from a young age, and I'm now using my voice to help the voiceless, which is why I want to talk because I'm able to. Like, that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I've seen people who are not able to. So, yeah.
Have you given any thought to, so the pageant will be, well, by the time it finishes, we're basically at the end of the year, but obviously you've just finished a double degree, which is not an insubstantial thing. Have you given any thought to what you want to do career-wise once the pageant is
Mm.
over?
Yes, I was thinking of getting into human resources. I mean, I always want to be surrounded by people. I always want to help people and that kind of thing. So something like that. But I'd also love to start my own charity or something about women empowerment and further help Dress for Success. Um, because why not? I have all the assets needed to do something like this. May as well help others. But apart from that, having the entrepreneurial degree, I wouldn't mind starting my own fashion business. I love fashion. It's how I communicate to people. It's my mode of communication. So um, I love it, and I think sharing that with other people as well, potentially starting through a hire business,
Okay.
because especially through Newcastle, as I said, I have to come to Sydney for a lot of, my fashion, and, creating that more sustainable mindset behind, fashion is something I'm passionate about.
I remember the first time I interviewed you, I think you were in your room, and I remember remarking the background of your room, it was just full of ribbons and trophies, wasn't it? I mean, have you added? That's what I'm remembering. Your entire background looked like just one giant flex. It was like ribbons, 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 trophy, trophy, trophy. And then a few, I think, they're not retainers. What do you call the fix? Is it fascinators, not
Oh,
retainers?
oh, and I've got trophies and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a shame I'm not there today, but yeah, so I've got quite the collection. I've added a few more. Obviously,
I was
my
going to
recent
ask. Yeah.
Miss International was up there, very proud. But I also have a few ones from my Fashions on the Field competitions. So I recently just won runner up best dressed. So it's so fun, like to be surrounded by women who also have the passion for fashion and to really explore your understanding and perceptions on fashion. Oh, it's fabulous. I love it.
So how do you go about? I mean, you we already said you're going to one of the biggest pageants in the world, and pageants, one of the things they're known for, obviously, is the glitz and the glam. They're more than that, but obviously the glitz and glam is a huge part of it. So I'm just fascinated for yourself, who's such a fashion nut. How What's the planning process for you like when it comes to what am I going to wear or national costume, if that's a section? Because for a lot of people, it's like kind of cool, but for you being a fashion nut, that's got to be like one of the most exciting phases, surely.
100%. So I have in my camera roll photos of all my
Yeah,
fashion, what I will be wearing, and then I'll kind of delegate them to each event.
right.
My other problem is how I'm going to get all these on the plane.
Oh, you
Uh,
don't need to worry about that. Just take 20
oh,
suitcases.
yes, but I looked up how much it is for
We don't look at that stuff. We don't need to know that.
one additional suitcase of 25 kilos return is 1,200.
Yeah. It's basically another ticket. You might as well just buy another plane ticket, have two seats, and then just get the comp luggage. But I mean, the logistics side of it apart, because we don't want to ruin it. We're talking about the fun stuff, not the painful stuff. But what
Yeah.
goes into the planning process? So you got the pictures, and I mean, how many events are you
Mm.
planning for? For example, like how many days, how many events?
Yeah, so my mum's beautiful and she helps me in the process. So it's kind of my mum's my best friend, so it's a bonding thing for us as well. There are about over 25 outfits. I'm
Hmm.
also having my national costume made. So the logistics of how big it is, I think it would be an oversized luggage. But also making sure that they get to the location is also very important.
Kind of. Yep.
It would be a nightmare to lose all the clothing, so, my parents are kind enough to give me their check-in, my dad's check-in, and my check-in, and then they
There
can
you go.
have their carry-ons for clothes, so they're very kind to do that.
Okay, so you got three people's check-ins to spread your luggage across.
Yes,
Right.
and I may need
You
more, I'm not sure.
I
This
mean,
is how
don't
much it's
don't
important to me.
Let's not spoil the national costume, but just to give me an idea, I've spoken to pageant queens who are competing overseas, and one of my friends designs national costumes. And national costumes very often are huge, intricate things with all sorts of other ornate, you know. One of the ones that she had lights, LED lights, so there was a battery pack, and she had to get this thing through customs, which it's kind of hard to explain to this guy at customs who's just seeing the same people every day, and then suddenly here you come with a giant set of wings or something, or a harbor bridge or something like that. So can you give me an idea just how difficult is it going to be to transport this national costume?
Let's just say it hits the absolute maximum largest size that you're allowed to take. So the organization has given us specifications of how big it
Okay.
can be, and it meets those width wise.
Would it just be easier perhaps to wear it onto the plane?
I might knock out the people next to me if I wore it. Yeah, so it's quite wide. Yeah.
That's exciting though. That's exciting because for you being so passionate about fashion, I can't wait to see what you've come up with. But tell me this again, without spoiling it, but how did you come up with the inspiration for your national costume? Because as an Aussie, you got so much you could choose from, whether it's something like Harbour
Mm.
Bridge, Opera House, or just the rugged outback, the beaches. There's so many different ways you could take it, flora, fauna. So how did you finally settle on this is what I want it to look like?
So my amazing designer, he's known as Birdskin on Instagram. He
Mhm.
actually has worked with me before making millinery. So I had this
Okay,
amazing
hats.
horse head. Yes, he's
Yeah.
made an amazing horse head um, wire millinery piece for me before. So he kind of has understood my visions. He's done a couple pieces for me. Um, it's a special place for me, this, my national
Nice.
costume. That's as much as I'll give you.
Yep. No, that's
Yeah.
enough. We to the rest
Yeah.
we'll find out when we're supposed to find out. How many
It'll be a
pairs of shoes
surprise.
are we taking over?
I've just bought 2 more yesterday, or I think I'll keep it at maybe 7. That's not too bad.
That's
That's
actually
that's
surprisingly few. Given that you just added
yes.
another 2, that's actually surprisingly few.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna be 7 or 8. I try to keep that to a minimum because I have shoes that are very versatile. So,
Right.
some high ones, some lower ones. It's more about tops and dresses and jewelry for me.
Is it at all possible when you're coming up with like the plans for what you're going to wear at each event on each day? How easy is it to sort of reuse pieces but mix and match so that you don't have to take 5,000 suitcases? Is that something that you can do as someone who's as into fashion as you are?
Yeah, so I recycle a lot of the pants. I find pants, but I
Okay.
find tops is usually what you see. So,
Right. Yeah.
um, we'll change that up a little bit. But also, a lot of the clothing, I'm very passionate about sustainability and fashion. So, you might have seen it before. So, it's not just about wearing clothing once, it's about giving it
Hmm.
another life, another vision. So, I style them in slightly different ways. So, yeah, there
Okay.
will be a little bit of that.
Okay. Just because you said the word pants, did you know that the Brits, what pants mean to them is actually underwear? Just so that you know.
Oh!
Yeah. They literally have a saying that's pants, which means it's terrible. That's underwear. So just when you say you change the pants, you might want to say trousers because the Brits get very they look at us funny.
I was trying to think for another word. What do you call them? Slacks?
Trousers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
trousers?
like I just call
Yeah,
them trousers. But I've had some very strange looks in the past when I talked about my pants. So they think I'm
that's
talking
so
about my
funny.
underwear. The
I'm
other
sure
one
there'll be
that
a lot of that.
the other one that's confusing for people is when we talk about thongs, because so
Oh,
speaking of underwear, because they call them flip flops and we call them thongs. So just there are certain things that we speak English, I think, but Australians are a different kind of English. But I mean, you must be like at this stage, you must be excited and raring to go, right? Because it reaches a point where you go like the nerves build, and you just like, let me go, let me go. Are we at that stage yet?
yeah, I honestly can't believe how fast time has flown,
Yeah.
like, this year. I got crowned was it July? Around then, and ever since it's been go, 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 like full preparation with my team, so it's been fabulous. So, I'm excited now. I think I'm getting to the excited part. I have nearly everything in place for how it needs to be, so yeah. Nervous but excited. Like, I think once I'm there and I in the environment, I have met all the beautiful women, like, I think we can create a nice sisterhood and
Yeah.
feel like we're all in the same boat anyway, so I think there's some beauty in that as well.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to hear how you find your experience because out of every pageant that I know of, I probably had the least amount of experience interviewing girls competing in international. Part of that is because it
Mm,
was on hold for so long with the pandemic. But to me, it's always been a bit of a mystery because everyone who comes back from it seems to have nothing but good things to say about it. Which, take it from me, that's
mm,
not very often, and it is a bit more, I don't know if I'd say traditional, but the emphasis seems to be more on elegant. It's not so much about
mm,
sass or sexy. To me, it always seems more elegant, which I think jives well with the Japanese tradition and culture. But that really
yeah,
fascinates me because it seems to be more
mm,
about what you say, what you stand for. I mean, obviously, with the sustainability and pageantry, that's something that's very topical, but it's probably not a very typical pageant sort of way of approaching things. So I find it absolutely
yes.
fascinating. I'll be very interested to hear what your experience is like. I mean, how have you found? Obviously, I imagine you've been in communication with the organizers to some extent over there.
Mm.
How have you found everything so far? Given that you've competed in other pageants, like, am I kind of right or am I completely off base?
Yeah, definitely. So same as you, I hadn't really known much about Miss International
Mm,
until this year as such. So I've done Miss World Australia, and Miss Grand Australia.
yeah,
And I found, as much as I love those pageant systems, I found that I connect and relate way more to Miss International, because I'm not so much of a show pony as I'm
yeah,
more about, speaking and being royal and elegant, and that more aligns with who I am as a person. And yeah, so I've been speaking with Amber, and she's kind of been guiding me after her amazing
yeah.
experience, and she has nothing but positive things to say about the
There you
system
go.
and
Yeah,
the fact that they really genuinely care about their girls and their mental health and how
hmm,
they're fed. And I think that's really special because you hear about the other systems and how the girls have not ate, they have not even slept. It
yeah.
sounds like the experience is, as much as it's going to be full on, it's going to be more thought put into the girls' health, which I think is beautiful.
Well, I mean, there are minimum standards, right? I mean, it's reasonable to expect you guys over there to be working hard and maybe not getting much sleep, but it's
Yes.
not reasonable to not feed you. I mean, I've heard from from girls competing at some other pageants, like without going into too much detail, like the feed and the food they get. Like sometimes they're vegetarian and they're only provided with terrible food that's not vegetarian. So I'd love to see the system here grow.
Mm,
I know out of the four major systems, probably the smallest over here in Australia, and I'd love to see. You know, obviously, it would be great for us over here if you did well, whatever that is, and then you come over here and can help it grow because I think it's a really interesting system, and I'd love to learn more about it. Obviously, I've interviewed Christina, and now
mm.
you, and I think I'm interviewing two more of the girls. One is from Taiwan, the other one I can't remember. Sorry, I can't
I think
remember.
it's Hannah Kay Island, Miss Island?
Yes, yes, from
Yes,
Ireland, and
she's so
I've had
beautiful,
a
she's
couple of
lovely.
words to her in particular, and she's an absolutely amazing woman in terms similar to yourself actually. In fact, similar to Christina in terms of all three of you entrepreneur, like to the
Mm,
hilt. It seems to have really attracted women who are multifaceted and who love the glam, but it's not necessarily the biggest or only component of them. Like there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that no one else knows about. That's definitely not glamorous. I mean, you would know from Christina. She got like I don't know how many businesses. I think three,
she's
and then on
power woman, she's amazing.
she forgot to tell me she had a day job. She's going through all the businesses, and then she just casually mentions, "Oh yeah, I've got a day job." Like you forgot to mention that you had a job, and she's like, "Oh yeah." So it seems to have attracted a very particular type of woman because Christina, similarly to yourself, has said it was international. that she had her eye
Mm.
on. And that's the only reason she went back to compete, was because they just got the opportunity to send a Dutch girl to international. So, I mean, what is it that you think, the three of you or the four of you, what is it about international that's kind of pulling you so much?
Yeah, I think it's the elegance and the care, as I said, in this
Hmm.
pageant system. It's different, and they really are celebrating cheer all women. So
Yeah.
they're making it less like, it is competitive, obviously, but less of a competition and more about creating a sisterhood and empowering women and using your voice. I mean, all pageant systems do this to some extent, but
Yeah.
I think it's the amount of extent that they're actually going to. And I mean, it's about inspiring people and using your voice. And I think
Mm,
with the platforms that us three girls have, like, it's fabulous. Yeah.
yeah. Have you given any thought to what you're going to do if you get the big crown put on your noggin?
Oh, oh, eat a big slab of cake. No. No, um, yes, so it'd be a dream to start with, but I think I'd use it to help people at a wider scale. As I said, potentially starting my own charity, helping
Mm,
women. Even I'd love to partner and speak to people, like, in high up positions like the United Nations, understand what their goals are and how I can help them. But also, I help think using my business degree and working with such an amazing organization like Miss International and helping them achieve their goals as well, because I'm noticing they're wanting to build their brand more as well. So
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that would be an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, I would love to see that as well, because I think it also might be part of the Japanese culture. It's a bit more understated and reserved in some ways. So
Mm,
getting that brand name out there, I think would be a very, very good thing for our industry. So look, I mean, I hope you
yeah.
have an amazing time, because then there's another
Thank
pageant that I
you.
can happily push girls towards and say, do that one. But just before we wrap up and get to our final 10 questions, anyone that you want to give a shout out to? Sounds like you've got quite a number of people to thank.
Yeah, so my whole team, the Stargazer organization, I'd like to thank them for all their assistance and help, with Hector as well, my manager. But ultimately, my support system with my family, they've been here through thick and thin. They've seen the tears, they've seen the happy moments. So I think they really know what goes into a pageant. It's not just all glamour, glitz, and smiles. There's also, you have to do the hard yards to really get
Yeah.
to the crown. So,
Okay.
and my boyfriend, of course.
Of course. All right. Let's go through the final 10. Second time around for you. Number one, what is
I
your
forget them all.
favorite? I forgot all your answers too, but maybe some will come back to us. Let's find out. Number one, what's your favorite word?
I actually had this conversation with someone the other day, but I like the word haberdashery.
W- Isn't that,
I know, it's
that's a
because you've never heard it.
clothing term? What does it specifically mean? I can't remember.
Oh, I'd have to find the definition. Haberdashery.
Feel like it's an
Uh,
older term. I don't feel like I've heard that for quite a long time. It's like in the old school Maya and
Clothing shop. Yes,
clothing shop. Okay, there you go. Right.
but it's
Haberdashery.
isn't it a fun word? Haberdashery.
Yeah, it is quite. Once it gets in your head, you just keep wanting to say it again and again. Haberdashery, 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 like a tongue
Yeah,
twister. All right. What's your
that's
least
it.
favorite word?
Hate. I think, yeah, that's a really strong word that doesn't need to be used, especially against people.
Number three, in life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
I think seeing people succeed. I'm a big person about women empowerment, and I'm excited to see other people do well just as much as I am excited if I do well. And I truly mean that. I believe if someone's a good person, has a good heart, I'm more than happy for them to do well.
What turns you off?
Rude people who, especially to waitresses and people in, for example, I'm in the retail industry at the moment, people that don't have respect for people in those positions.
What sound do you love?
Laughter, I think, would be it. I love a good, hearty, bellied laugh. I think that's so beautiful.
Do you ever do the snort?
I won't expose myself, but sometimes. I have that, like, evil laugh sometimes because it gets so deep, it's just like,
Maybe don't bring that out at international. You might scare some of the girls over there.
I'm better not.
What sound do you hate?
Oh, I just pictured the screeching on the chalkboards. Oh, not
Fair enough.
ideal.
If you could have any superpower, what would you pick and why?
Uh, I think teleportation, so then I could help as many people in as many different locations with as little time as possible. Yeah.
I was sure you were going to say teleportation so I can get all my outfits for Miss International to Japan without having to pay for extra luggage. I was going, that makes a lot of sense.
That'd
That's
be
very practical
fabulous.
minded of you. And also,
That'd be fabulous.
how just out of interest, how long is a flight from Australia to Japan? Because normally us Aussies have to fly 5,000 years to get anywhere, but to Japan it's not too bad, is it?
So I'm actually traveling to Philippines first for a little bit, so it's
Yeah,
kind of cut
halfway.
up. So, yeah, kind of. I actually can't remember how long it takes, but I think it's about 8 and
Oh yeah, that's
4
fine.
or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nothing. That's nothing for
Yes.
us Aussies. Takes me 24 hours to get to the States, and one time it took me 48 hours to get to the UK. So 8 hours is
Oh,
like barely,
no.
it's barely there. That's
Yes.
what it's like being in Australia. I don't need to tell you, we can fly 8 hours and still be in the same country at this stage. Okay,
I know.
so what job would you like to attempt?
One day, I would like to be a mother. I think that's such a and it's not a job as such, but I believe it's a job in the
It's the
fact
most
that
important
it
job in the world.
it takes such responsibility, and I'm so
Yeah,
proud that I've been raised in such a fortunate position where my
yeah,
parents really pushed me to achieve the
yeah,
highest things possible that I would have never even dreamed of doing. So I believe that's the highest respect gone to a mother.
yeah, love it. What job would you not like to attempt?
I actually had this conversation the other day with my partner as well.
Okay.
I would absolutely hate to be a removalist because to have to lift up extremely heavy things and get in awkward positions and have to
Mhm.
push them up and down stairs, I could not do it. Funny answer, but yes, I had that conversation.
There probably wouldn't be much call for fashion in the removalist industry. From my experience
No,
dealing with moving people, there's not much sense of fashion. There's
no.
more of the more of the bogan stuff we were talking about. Anyway, final question: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I'm proud of you. You've achieved your purpose and you've really done me proud on earth. I'm a big believer in God and I believe it's His will and He'll lead me to where I'm meant to be. And my purpose is um, where He wants me to be. So I feel like this whole purpose has been shown by God. And I'm really stoked. I don't know if I actually told you the story, if you heard on Christina's, my interview with Christina. I was actually at work at David Jones, and this guy came up to me before I even entered the Miss International pageant, and he looks at me up and down, and he goes, "You look international." And I said, "Sorry, what?" He had a little bit of problems, so I
Yeah,
was just like, and then in hindsight, I believe it's God's way of showing me where I'm meant to
mm,
be, my purpose, Miss International. He didn't say the whole words, but I believe that's my purpose and to whether that to be to win, to use my voice, to
yeah.
impact the younger generations, I believe it's where I'm meant to be. So all praise to God.
Yeah. I think when you're on the right path, even if it's the path that you didn't initially envisage for yourself, but I think being on
Mm,
that right path, finding that right path and going with it really is the secret to, feeling not just happy, but fulfilled in life. Because, yes, I'm heading to the right path. Doesn't mean everything's going to be easy, but there's a lot of
yes,
solace I think you can take during the hard times, which there are in pageantry that, well, you know what? At least I'm
100%.
headed in the right path. So, yeah, no, I can
That's it.
definitely
definitely.
resonate with that. Well, Selina, it's been a pleasure. Second time round. Best of luck over in the Philippines
Thank you.
initially, and then Japan. Actually, now that I think about it, the weather in the Philippines when you head over is going to be significantly different to the weather in Japan. Just, I'm sure you've
Mm.
thought of this. There's going to be a bit of
Yes.
a temperature difference between Philippines in summer and Japan in winter. How are you going to pack for that?
I haven't worked that one out yet, but I'll have a range of clothing. That will just make more clothing for me.
Sounds
Maybe
like
some
you want someone
sponsors.
else to go with you so you can have more, use more people's carry-ons.
Would you like to come, Adrian?
Sure, I want to go to Japan. At this point, you'll be that girl at the airport that everyone will be able to recognize you because you're hidden behind 20, a mountain of luggage. Be like, yeah, yeah, that's mine.
All of those are mine. Sorry.
Yeah, you might need to learn the word for sorry for my luggage in Japanese, whatever that phrase is. Sorry, it's so heavy. It's my national costume. I don't know how you say that in Japanese, but
I'll have
I'm
to work
sure
on
you'll
that.
figure it out. Yeah,
Oh,
I think it
yes.
might be smart. But anyway, have a brilliant time overseas. Best of luck representing our
Thank
country.
you.
And
Yes.
I'll keep you on the line for just a sec. So hang up with the audience. But thanks everyone for watching, and we will speak
Thanks,
to you next time.
everyone.